One of the things that's really important that you're noticing worldwide is the fact that a lot of countries believe Donald Trump is the president already. They're responding to what's coming up, what's going to happen. We've seen what happened in Canada, where they've said, we need to do better. We need a Donald Trump in Canada to make Canada better. We're seeing in the Middle East, we're seeing Putin finally deciding, we're going to have to settle this thing. I can't keep coming over and killing Ukrainians, at will. So we're looking at the world saying, we need to focus and we need to do better, that we can't take advantage of the United States anymore. Unfortunately, President Biden is still in office, and he's doing executive orders. He's making all kinds of changes that will be washed away. And, I think it's another situation where it's virtue signaling more than reality. So we're going to be able to overturn those kind of things and get back to a country of laws, where what makes our country great is the fact that we're exceptional and that we have a foundation of laws. And we need to make sure that this country is safe. And when we look at safety, we want to talk about a bunch of issues. So safety is a huge issue, I think. One is crime and punishment is part of safety, but it's bigger than that. It's economic security. We want to make sure that we're able to secure a future for our family and our kids, and even those in retirement, the most vulnerable. And I think we need to talk about the most vulnerable in society, which for me is the unborn and senior citizens. Being a senior citizen myself, you start to understand a little bit more about how vulnerable you are to changes in inflation and those kind of things. We also now can look back at the success of this country under President Trump. If it hadn't been for the pandemic or whatever you want to call it that happened, we would be doing extremely well. There would have been a continuation of all those policies, and now we need to bring them back. We need to make the economy grow. We need to make sure people are taken care of, but we also need to have an incentive for people to do more and more. So I'm pretty excited about what's going to happen over the next 4 years. I don't think we're going to be Arkansas red here, but I think people are going to recognize that the rest of the country is prospering. And if we continue with the socialistic policies that the legislature of Vermont has brought forward, we're not keeping pace with the rest of the country. So I'm looking forward to President Trump.
Yeah, I agree. We are very excited as well. And even being a red state, we still see opportunity to continue to grow and to push that message. I think one of the issues that we have sometimes here in Arkansas is how do we communicate the conservative message clearly to the constituency, right? I know that some of the policies, we have great policies in place. We are a supermajority in our House and Senate. Every constitutional officer is a Republican. I mean, I know that's probably hard for you to imagine, but it is fantastic, I will say. But not everyone really understands or communicates that message well to win voters, right? We can't just rely, we're going to be Republican forever, because we're not. Mm-hmm. That pendulum goes back and forth. And so what is the best way in your experience to communicate that message of these policies actually better your life?
Well, I think one of the things we have to do, and I own a messaging company. That's what I do for a living, behavioral science research, those kind of things. So what we really want to do is we want to tell people that we care about them. So we can't be the smartest person and tell them this is what works. This is who we are. We're Republicans. And if everyone thought the way, we do, they'd already be on our side. But you have to break it down into simple terms. You have to talk about, and there's an old sales expression, and we're really, as politicians, we're actually salespeople, and we want to talk in those terms. And people want to know that you care before they care what you know. So sometimes we go out and we're talking about how wonderful we are and how we have all the answers, and this is what we're doing. And especially in the legislature, and I don't want to project the Arkansas legislature, but in most of the states that I'm familiar with, legislators think what they're doing is really important. Everyone knows what they're doing. They live in this cloistered world where they're talking to each other And boy, I did a great job. Look at this bill that's 28 pages long. It's going to do this, this, and this. And people at home are going, I was watching the Kardashians tonight, or, Ghost was on, and, Abbott Elementary was a great show. Did you see that? And the people in Little Rock are saying, we just passed this bill, House Bill 314, and we're patting each other on the back. You have to be messaging. You have to be letting people know how that affects them. And talk in terms of the feature benefit program. So just because you say we're going to pass a bill that is going to lower gas prices, you have to go a little bit further, because what if I don't drive much? What if I'm saving 5 cents a gallon and it doesn't make a difference? You need to be able to message that a little further and saying, because we reduce gas prices, you're going to be able to maybe eat out once a month at a restaurant that you haven't been able to. Maybe by us reducing taxes, whether they're property taxes or income taxes or any kind of taxes, that it's going to allow you to whatever, and get specific about it. It may look like a little thing, but make them understand that it affects them directly, that you're going to be able to send your kid to summer camp. You're going to be able to buy new sneakers for the basketball team that your kids are going to be on. You're going to be able to trade in that car that's 12 years old, because interest rates have gone down from 12% on that car loan down to 6%. That you're going to be able to go out and buy a house now, because inflation has reduced. And before, you'd have to have so much money down to buy a house, but now we can help you with that. So you want to talk in terms of how it affects people every day, and not just use the big, overwhelming things that you've had discussions in the legislature and had experts in talking about policy and procedures for 3 months, and all these details. But most of us don't care what the details are of a bill. What we really care about is, how does that affect me? How does it affect my family? How does it affect senior citizens?
Okay. Well, I think you're right. And I think we as Republicans tend to just give the features and never get to the benefits. We just kind of assume you're going to extrapolate the benefits, and that's not really true. Okay, let's shift gears for just a little bit. So can you tell me just a little bit more about your time at the RNC? I've known you for maybe 3 or 4 years at the RNC, but you did so much more before that I'm not aware of. So talk to me a little bit. I think you gave a prayer at a convention one time. I mean, you've done some pretty amazing things at the national level.
It has been a tremendous ride. I started in 2012. Actually, I was elected in 2012. We actually start in January of the following year, so 2013. So one of the things that we've been able to do is get involved in some of the issues. And when I started, I was with Reince Priebus. One of the things that we started doing is some Catholic outreach. The RNC is very much an evangelical Christian membership. So I was able to travel the country doing Catholic outreach for the RNC, basically meeting with Catholic leaders and introducing those Catholic leaders to state Republican leaders. It allowed us to say, we're not just here the weeks before the election. What we really are is here to build a relationship. And so many times in politics, what we do is we come into town 6 weeks before an election and say, we need your vote, and we're going to take care of you, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that for you. But we have to show that we show up. We have to be there and show them. So I was very fortunate in 2016 at the Cleveland Convention to do the opening invocation at the convention on the Tuesday night, which was the night that we officially nominated President Trump and Vice President Pence. It was prime time. It was really exciting. There was a little story about that where there's a big difference in being in the marketing and media world that I am, that things start at 8:00. Prime time is 8:00. So they came to me ahead of time and they said, we're running ahead of time. We'd like you to go on at 7:50. And I said, 7:50, that's not prime time. I said, my mother's going to tune in at 8:00. I mean, my mother's in her 90s. She needs to, be there at the right time. So as it turned out, it ended up being at 10 after 8. I was able to do a short invocation. It couldn't have been too bad because in 2020, they asked me to do the opening invocation of the entire convention that was held in Charlotte, which was really exciting. In 2017, I was elected vice chairman of the RNC, which is a regional chairperson of the Northeast region, and held that position for 5 years. Then I get a little bit ahead of myself and thought that I was pretty wonderful and decided to run for co-chair of the RNC against a well-known incumbent and a friend of the Trump family. Got pretty well squashed. I think
that's how we met.
I think that's how we met, when you were campaigning for someone who was running against me.
I was.
And you almost convinced me to vote for my opponent.
I did ask for your vote. I asked for your vote, just like you said at the beginning.
You did. So those are some of the things that I've been involved in. I continue to, work with messaging. I've been in the grassroots committee. I've been on the rules committee for 10 years. So there's some very important things that happen at the RNC. And I know, Mindy, you're very involved at the RNC. I believe you're on the budget committee. And
I am.
What kind of things have you noticed at the RNC that, for you to be on for such a short period of time and to move into one of the most important positions at the RNC, which is the budget committee, that's pretty impressive. Is that something you may be staying on for, or tell me a little bit about where your thoughts are?
Yeah, so I appreciate you asking. I have really enjoyed being on the RNC and getting to know people, and I feel very fortunate in the people that I've gotten to know to be able to get elected to be on the budget committee. I was elected within my region, within the southern region, to be on the budget committee, and I have an engineering degree, my background, and so I actually love numbers. I'm one of those nerdy people down and solve math problems. So I love being on the budget. I love digging into that. I am running for re-election. And that will be next Friday. Actually, we'll have our re-election. So I'm hoping to get re-elected to budget committee and continue to move on that. So, but thank you for asking. I do appreciate it. Go ahead.
Well, I know so many members of the RNC over the years, and I know a lot of the people in the South, and they have so much respect for you and your abilities and what you do, and the fact that you do ask the tough questions. I'm glad you're not asking me tough questions today.
Not today.
But, the important issues, you always ask the tough questions and you get it done.
Oh, thank you.
Which is so impressive for someone who's new, that has the confidence and the abilities to dig through the fluff that a lot of politicians throw out. I'm more of a fluff person than I am a detail person. And if it wasn't for people like you, I don't think we'd get anything.
Well, you're very kind. Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. Well, Jay, I think we are butting up against time, but I think I could talk to you for hours easily. So I would love to have you on again. But I just want to thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully our listeners have enjoyed it as well.
Well, I want to wish you the best of success with this show. I'm fortunate that you had me on, and I look forward to all the great people that that you can connect with, and actually explaining things in enough detail so that people like me can understand it. Taking the complex and making it simple, and you have such an ability to do that. So I'm really impressed by that, and greatly appreciate you having me on the show.
Thank you, Jay. Have a great day. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed listening to National Committeeman from Vermont, Jay Shepard. He gave a lot of great detail about what it's like to be in Vermont, which is a deep blue state, to be involved in politics there. And I know his passion for communicating conservative values and promoting pro-life, First and Second Amendment values really came through. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to communicating again next week.